2022 Mercedes-Benz C-Class, courtesy of Mercedes-Benz of Hagerstown in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. And so we're in this one today because it has been completely redesigned for the 2022 model year. And this actually marks the start of a brand new generation for the C-Class as well. It has S-Class inspired looks. You guys can probably tell by the headlights up front, it looks pretty darn good. And a ton of new tech as well. But ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. So essentially there are two different configurations for the 2022 C300. First one being the rear wheel drive variant, starting at $43,550. Then you got the 4MATIC all-wheel drive version starting at $45,550. But regardless of which configuration that you go with, the power plant is going to be the same. Powering the new C300 will be a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with mild hybrid drive, putting out 255 horsepower at 5,800 RPM, 295 pound-feet of torque, coming in at 2,000 RPM. Power sent to rear wheels or all wheels through a 9-speed automatic with paddle shifters, which you guys know we will be testing out here in a little bit. 0 to 60 time is going to come in at approximately 6 seconds flat, according to Mercedes-Benz, with MPG numbers coming in at 25 in the city, 35 on the highway for the rear-wheel drive, 23 city, 33 on the highway. Then for the all-wheel drive, taking premium unleaded fuel. But so that before we do any kind of fun paddle shifter or acceleration tests here in our C300, I wanted to mention to you guys the drive modes. They are labeled Dynamic Select. That button Dynamic is located just underneath of that new infotainment screen there. When you press that, you'll get to choose between Eco, Comfort, Sport, and Individual, adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, the steering sensitivity, and the Eco Start Stop system then as well. And actually, if you were to go with the AMG line package, which by the way goes for $3,050, it includes a bunch of different things. You're actually also going to get a Sport Plus driving mode to go along with all of those standard driving modes then as well. But now having got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the paddle shifters and acceleration here to the test at the same time. Let's see how quickly the paddle shifters react, and let's see how quickly we can get our new C300 here up to speed. All right, we are in first gear. 3, 2, 1. This thing's quick. Okay, not quite as quick as far as paddle shifters go as I'm used to in Mercedes-Benz, but they felt good, I will say that. They're definitely not the slowest paddle shifters. They're nice, but they're not as quick as what I'm typically used to with Mercedes-Benz. That acceleration though, that was plenty fine. You are not gonna have any issues with merging onto the highway. This thing definitely gets up to speed quite nice, and that may be due in part because it has nearly 300 pound-feet of torque. But anyways, and the EQ boost for that matter. To go along with that acceleration though, as always, braking is equally important. And so up front, you will find 13-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 11.8-inch ventilated rear discs. As far as the braking feel goes, it's definitely on the softer side without a doubt. Wouldn't have minded if they firmed up that braking feel a little bit. Typically, with Mercedes-Benz, you get that, but with the C300, it is a bit softer of a braking feel. I'll just put it that way. Then touching on suspension and handling, up front you're going to get a 4-link front axle. In the back, 5-arm multi-link rear design, front and rear stabilizer bars. But perhaps my favorite part about the suspension configuration on the new C-Class is that it comes standard with an adaptive damping suspension. Essentially what that is it monitors each shock absorber individually, not only adjusting to road imperfections, giving you a smoother ride, but it's also going to tighten up the suspension during heavy cornering, really giving you the best of both worlds. So that is a suspension feature that definitely doesn't come standard on most vehicles out there. Luxury vehicles, yes, and a lot of sports cars as well. So definitely was a fan to see that the C-Class is coming with that standard for 2022. Did want to also mention though, if you were to go with that AMG line package, that is going to add a sport suspension, aka stiffer springs and shock absorbers. It's also going to give you a slightly lower ride height as well, and a heavier steering feel to go along with all of that. But ultimately, as far as ride quality goes, it's been 100% on point. I will say Hagerstown has some very nice roads, but definitely absorbing the road imperfections quite nicely. It's been very smooth ride so far in my short test drive here today. As far as steering feel goes, it's okay. It feels pretty much like I would expect the new C-Class to feel. Not the heaviest steering feel in the world, but it's definitely not the loosest either. It does not feel like an SUV. It feels like a sedan, so I've had no issues with the steering feel. And as far as cabin noise goes, it has been a very serene cabin. I'm getting a little bit of my climate control noise right now. If you guys are picking anything up, it's probably that. But we actually do have the acoustic package today display that goes for $150. That actually adds an acoustic laminated front windshield and door glass as well, which gives you the very possible most serene cabin. That is another one of those features I always look for in all the vehicles that I review, and that is going to give you the very best insulation, I guess you could say, from exterior wind and road noise. So definitely a big fan of that. And touching on visibility, I can see 100% perfectly fine out the back. No issues there. Rain sensing windshield wipers do come standard, and there is a head-up display available if you wanted to go that route as well. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of a brand new 2022 Mercedes-Benz C300. All right, and so here she is, you guys, the new 2022 Mercedes-Benz C300, finished in polar white, in case anybody was curious of our exterior color name, and completely redesigned for the 2022 model year, of course, like I already said. But anyways, let's go ahead and start up front on this one here. Vertical slats can be found in the front grille. That's going to be the standard configuration. I want to put it that way because if you go with that AMG line package, you're going to get that traditional diamond block front grille without the chrome perimeter that you guys are looking at right now. So little differentiation there. LED headlights to the sides, they do come standard. They come with LED daytime running lights and the automatic feature, meaning when it starts to get dark out at night, headlights are going to turn on automatically for you there. Automatic high beams also coming standard, meaning if you have your high beams on, it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. Then when that vehicle is gone, it's going to bump it back up to high beams automatically for you there, so that's always good. Did want to also mention an optional lighting package. It's going to be the adaptive digital light LED headlights. By the way, that package goes for $1,100, but essentially it's going to be slightly brighter illumination and, of course, that adaptive feature, meaning when you're going around a bend at night, those headlights are going to swivel based on the direction of your steering angle, better help illuminating what is around that bend. It's kind of like BMW's laser light technology if you were to compare it to something. But anyways, pretty much rounds out the front end. I do like the new look. It looks a lot like an S-Class, specifically those headlights, so very elegant design to the front. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the side of the C-Class. All right, and so but now since we are around to the side of this one, chrome window surrounds do come standard. You do have some chrome accenting found on those door handles as well. Do like the body colored side skirts. I think that does look good as well. Taking a look at the side mirrors, they are body colored power adjustable side mirrors. They will be heated with LED integrated turn signals, and they actually are power folding then as well, which you don't always get even on luxury vehicles, so I wanted to emphasize that. Take a look at the wheel configurations. 18-inch alloys do come standard across the board. 18-inch AMG specific alloys for the AMG line package, and there are 18 and 19-inch wheel designs available in addition to all of that to really make the car your own, I suppose. So that is going to be there for you as well. But again, that pretty much rounds out the side. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the back. All right, so but now since we are around to the back of the C-Class, you guys will notice no shark fin antenna or no antenna whatsoever found on the roof of this one. A very clean look. I'm a huge fan of that. Just below that, there is a rear spoiler available. There are body colored rear spoilers, black rear spoilers, and carbon fiber rear spoilers available. So we do have that option. So it looks pretty darn good back there. And I do like the design to the taillights. And actually, let me get up a little bit closer here for you guys so you guys can see that a little bit better. Taillights are LEDs, by the way, so added illumination at night to kind of match up with the LED headlights, but definitely a very cool looking design to these taillights. They look like really nothing else on the road. So I'm a big fan of that. But in the middle of those taillights, though, I did want to mention there is some LED license plate lighting. You can't really see it because it's a bright and sunny day today, but I did want to mention it. It is there. And just below it all, there are dual exhaust outlets tucked underneath. Mercedes will want to have you believe that these are integrated dual exhaust outlets finished in chrome. They are not. That is the fake look, as Audi does it recently. So they're actually tucked away underneath. I don't know if you guys can see that, but not a huge fan of that. Would have liked it a heck of a lot better if they made those exhaust outlets functional, or at least didn't make it look like they were actually there. But anyways, nonetheless, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust clip. All right, so but now since we are around to the back of this C-Class, when it comes to opening that rear trunk, it is a power rear trunk. I want to start by saying that, but there is a button on the key fob, there's a button on the trunk itself, and there's a button on the driver's door then as well. But once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 12.6 cubic feet. If that was not enough space, there is a 40-20-40 split, meaning the rear seats do fold down for quite a bit of extra space then if you needed it. There's actually some buttons located in the trunk itself also to actually fold down those rear seats, so I thought that was pretty convenient. Did want to also mention there's cargo lighting back there, there's some netted storage back there, there's tie-down anchors, which you usually don't find in sedans, so I wanted to emphasize that. You typically find that in SUVs, so that was pretty cool seeing that back there. There's also a couple grocery bag hooks on both sides, so big fan of that as well. And if you were to lift up under that cargo floor, you will actually find some in-floor storage back there then as well. But then make your way up to the rear seats. For reference, I'm even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in those rear seats there, but quite a bit going on back here. But you will find rear ventilation. There is a rear center armrest as well. If you press that little thing at the top, it's actually going to be a cell phone holder if you wanted to maybe watch a show back there, but there's not actually any cup holders within the center armrest. You of course do have the cup holders found on the doors, but that's where you're going to be using there. There's no cup holders on the actual armrest itself. Will also mention though, you have 2 phone charging ports and a 12-volt power outlet. There's no USB charging ports though, unfortunately, but of course they do have connectors. You can simply just plug in your phone charging port to a USB charging port and so on. So that is going to be there for you as well. But then make your way up to the front seats. Power adjustable front seats with 4-way power lumbar do come standard. That will come with memory settings for up to 3 different drivers found on the driver's side door there. Front seats will be heated, and then ventilated front seats are going to be available for an additional $450. Then take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. It is leather wrapped and it is heated for an additional $250 if you wanted to go that route. I do like the design to the steering wheel actually. It looks pretty darn good in my personal opinion. To make our way to the startup, let me start by showing you guys the key. It is a very, very heavy duty key, a very nice weight to it. You got the Mercedes-Benz logo found all the way to the top, and by the way, that doubles as your lock button. So press the Mercedes-Benz logo to lock the vehicle up, unlock just below that, and of course you got the button to pop the trunk just below the unlock button then as well. But I will say a remote start does come standard once you download the Mercedes Me app. That's going to be how you're going to go ahead and access that remote start. There's also keyless entry with a push button start that comes standard. So in this case, all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button located just to the left of the infotainment screen. And so once started up, gauges will be a 12.3-inch full digital gauge cluster. Speedometers all the way to your left, tachometer is on your right, and there are a few different settings that you can control by using the home button on the left side of the steering wheel there. That's going to give you your classic view. There is a sport view, which is pretty darn cool and understated as well. I think the sport view looks the coolest personally, but yeah, there's a few different options there, so you got that available to you, and that really changes the entire look. But because it's a digital gauge cluster, it has pretty much everything you could possibly want up there. You can configure it however you want. Outside temperature, digital speedometer, how many miles you have left until you hit empty, and so on. So like I said, everything you want up there. Then making our way to overall interior quality, a power sunroof does come standard. Auto dimming rear view mirror with HomeLink controls for up to 3 different garage doors found just underneath of that rear view mirror. And by the way, it's a frameless rear view mirror as well, which I'm always a big fan of. Dual zone climate control is going to come standard, so both driver and passenger can set their own temperatures there. 64 colors of ambient lighting also coming standard, and Mercedes-Benz does ambient lighting better than everybody in my personal opinion. You got a couple different finishes available. I wanted to mention we do have a wood finish today. It's a matte wood finish and it's texturized as well, so you can kind of feel the grooves of the wood, which I think is super cool. There are some other finishes like a metal weave trim that you can get instead of the wood as well. So a couple different options there. Wireless phone charger is going to be available for you, and kind of just underneath the infotainment screen here, you will find a good bit of rubberized storage. You got a couple cup holders, a couple phone charging ports, and within the center armrest, decent amount of storage, and you actually have a couple more phone charging ports within that as well. But overall, it's finished very nicely. I think the wood really sets it off. I think that makes this thing look so much better. I like our light color interior contrast with the dark interior accents found just above these new climate control vents. They are kind of like an ovalish circle found just above the infotainment screen and above the glove box. They look pretty darn good. I could definitely tell they're new for 2022 as well. But overall, definitely a very upscale interior quality without a doubt. But now let's go ahead and make our way to that infotainment screen, because that is new as well. It is an 11.9-inch portrait-oriented color touchscreen display, and so it is all touchscreen. And of course, you can find Bluetooth and audio streaming. There's Android Auto, Apple CarPlay as well. Factory navigation system goes for $650 if you wanted to go that route. Can adjust your climate control settings up there, and everything is very quick. I notice when I'm swiping my finger left and right or whatever I do, everything is instantaneous, exactly like a cell phone would be. And traditionally with infotainment screens on other vehicles, you have a little bit of a delay, but that is certainly not the case with this new 11.9-inch screen that Mercedes has put in the new C-Class. A very quick reaction, so that is definitely a good thing. You can check out your radio information up there as well, and it does appear we have a Burmester sound system with us here today. So having said that, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. Definitely perfectly fine. Ton of bass with that sound system, crystal clear. That was definitely where it's at. And I will say another thing I thought was pretty cool. The way you turn up the volume for the radio is you just slide your finger to the left and to the right just underneath of that infotainment screen. Kind of like the same way you open and close the curtain for the panoramic sunroof that we have here. You just slide your finger forward and back to open and close that. I forgot to mention that. So a lot of very easy gestures in order to make this vehicle function. Very techy, I guess you could say, which I'm a big fan of. The last thing I want to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen is when you do put the new C-Class in reverse, you will find possibly the most high definition camera I have ever seen in a vehicle, letting you know what is completely all around you, which is always is going to lead us into safety. So to start, I first wanted to mention the 2022 C-Class is not yet rated by IIHS, but for 2021, it was an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, so I would imagine the 2022 version would be the same. Front side curtain airbags do come standard, driver's knee airbag up front as well. In the back, I wanted to mention there is rear side impact airbags available for an additional $700. If you wanted to go that route, they are available. Also in the back, latch, aka lower anchors to tethers to children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system. Also standard though, attention assist, Mercedes-Benz emergency call service, and blind spot assist with exit warning assist as well. Did want to also mention there's tons of advanced safety features available for you guys. I'm not going to ramble a lot off to you, but some of them include adaptive cruise control. There's Parktronic, where you could set the parking spot you want the vehicle to either pull in or back into. You can set that as well. It's a crazy feature. It's going to scare you at first, but it works incredibly well. Active steering assist and route-based speed adaptation, just to name a few. And so overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the new C-Class, I am a big fan of the new look of this thing. I think it looks like a baby S-Class more or less, which is a very good thing. It has a very elegant look, I guess you could say. Very quick acceleration as well, is a big fan of that. This thing gets up to speed in no time, probably due in part because of the EQ boost and the 300 pound-feet of torque. Lots of fun tech options. I particularly like the little swiping features for the power sunroof and the volume buttons as well. As far as room for improvement goes, the braking feel is definitely not the best. It kind of feels like the Acura RDX when it first came out. It's kind of a dead spot when you first hit the brake, and then all of a sudden it kicks in, and then when it kicks in, it's a soft braking feel. So definitely wouldn't mind it if they changed up that really completely. Another thing I think Mercedes-Benz in general needs to do is put USB charging ports rather than specific phone charging ports. I think that is what most people are probably looking for, including myself. But other than that, this thing is pretty darn nice, specifically the interior details as well, including like this floating ledge I didn't even mention to you guys, where you kind of control the power window buttons. It's just kind of floating here in this silver finish. I think that's such a nice design element to the interior here and the wood finishes as well. But anyways, let me know what you guys think of the new 2021 BMW 330i, courtesy of Apple BMW in York, PA. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. Wanted to hop in this one today because this car is a legend. Did you guys know original production actually began on the 3 Series back in 1975? So at this point, BMW has had plenty of time to perfect it. Not only that, 3-year, 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance as well. So for the first 3 years, you don't have to pay for the oil changes and tire rotations. That's pretty darn cool as well. And when it comes to the bumper-to-bumper warranty, you know, most manufacturers give you 3-year, 36,000 miles. BMW actually gives you 4-year, 50,000 miles on the bumper-to-bumper warranty, which is amazing. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so MSRP for the 2021 BMW 330i will start at $41,250. That is for the rear wheel drive configuration. If you wanted to go with the all-wheel drive, or what BMW calls X-Drive, simply add $2,000, bringing the total up to $43,250. But regardless of which configuration that you go with, the power plant on this one is going to be the same. Powering the 330i is going to be a 2-liter twin power turbocharged inline 4-cylinder, putting out 255 horsepower at 5,000 RPM, 294 pound-feet of torque, available for the power band of 1,500 to 4,400 RPM. Again, power sent to rear wheels or all wheels through an 8-speed automatic with paddle shifters, which you guys know we will of course be testing out in a little bit. And by the way, that comes with launch control as well. That is pretty darn cool. 0 to 60 time for the rear wheel drive comes in at approximately 5.6 seconds according to BMW. For the all-wheel drive, 5.3. If you were doing comparison shopping with the Audi A4 in this one, the Audi comes in at 5.4 seconds. So 5.3 with the all-wheel drive, it's got the Audi beat there. MPG numbers come in at 26 in the city, 36 on the highway for the rear wheel drive, 25 city, 34 on the highway for the all-wheel drive. And so, but then before we do any kind of fun paddle shifter or acceleration test in the 330, did want to mention there are some drive modes that are located just behind the shifter. They will include Sport, Comfort, and Eco Pro. And essentially what those driving modes are going to do is adjust things like the shift points, the throttle response, and the steering sensitivity as well. And so did just put it in that sport driving mode, and not to mention the gauge cluster. So if you go with the digital gauge cluster, it's also going to adjust the colors up on that digital gauge cluster as well. So now that I have it in sport mode, it is projecting the gauges in many more red hues as opposed to the typical, orange hues that you get in comfort mode, I suppose. So anyways, having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway, and let's first test out the paddle shifters in the 330i, and let's see how quickly they are going to react for us here. All right, you guys, coming up on our straightaway, what I am going to now do is slide the shifter all the way to the back and to the left. That is going to give me full control over the shifting. The car will not shift for me. And what do you guys say? We are in first gear, and from a standstill, off we go. Whoa. Oh, man. Oh, man. Gosh darn it. I love it. I freaking love it, man. Paddle shifters are instantaneous, and no, they do not shift for me. I got up there in the RPMs and it didn't shift for me, so I love that there is a manual mode. Having said that, to give back full control to the BMW, just slide the shifter back to the right, but dang, that acceleration was wonderful as well, and I didn't even put it in launch control, and that pinned me to the back of the seat. So plenty of an acceleration for merging onto the highway, even plenty of an acceleration to have some fun on the back roads on the weekend. That was amazing. And not to mention, it is below 30 degrees out here in Pennsylvania today. With this X-Drive all-wheel drive system, there was no slipping whatsoever, and we got plenty of snow on the ground right now as well. So the fact that this thing stuck to the ground that well on that acceleration is absolutely wonderful, and in a car that you might want to think about, especially if you live here in Pennsylvania like myself. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And so, as expected, you will find 4-wheel ventilated disc brakes for all trim levels across the board. Not to mention, there are some M Sport brakes that come with the M Sport package that we have today as well. So that is going to increase stopping power a little bit as well. And by the way, when it comes to that 60 to 0 stopping distance, it comes in at 114 feet for the 330i, which is plenty respectable. I will say the Audi A4 puts it at 105 feet, but having said that, the braking feel has been perfectly fine for me today, so absolutely no issues with bringing the 330 to a stop there. Touching on suspension and handling, up front you're going to get a double pivot type front suspension with an anti-roll bar. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension with cast aluminum upper transverse arms. Of course, twin tube gas pressurized shock absorbers as well. And I did want to also mention an optional package for the 330i being the dynamic handling package that goes for $2,450, and that is an option I personally would get on this one. Reason being is because that essentially is an adaptive damping suspension, and what that suspension does is it monitors each shock absorber individually, not only giving you a smoother ride, but also tightening up the suspension during heavy cornering, again, giving you the best of both worlds. And that is definitely a noticeable difference in all the vehicles that I've reviewed, comparing the non-adaptive damping suspension to an adaptive damping suspension in light cars. You can always instantly tell the difference between those two suspension setups. So that is something I would definitely recommend as far as package options go for the 330i. I wanted to say that. But having said that, ride quality is perfectly fine even without it, which we don't have it today, of course, but ride quality has been perfectly fine, really above average and really as expected for a car like the BMW 330i, so no issues there. However, it can get better with that dynamic handling package. I'm just saying, steering feel is definitely weighty. It's on the heavier side. It instantly points you in the direction that you want to go, gives you a better feeling of being in control because of the weight that it has, so I absolutely love that. Not to mention the M Sport package that we have here has some mammoth 10 and 2 grips, which I absolutely love. And I feel like I always say this in my BMW reviews, but the 10 and 2 grips, as far as the steering wheels go with BMW, they're always on point. They have some of the thickest grips, which is absolutely amazing. It gives you such a better feeling of being in control of this thing. So I absolutely love it. It might be just my personal preference, but you guys got to check it out. It is like no other car that I reviewed. They are some of the thickest grips out there. I absolutely love it. Then when it comes to cabin noise, that again is perfectly fine as expected with BMW. I've hit over 50 miles per hour, and typically that's the speed I look for when the wind starts creeping into the cabin, but not with the 330i, so cabin noise is definitely on point there as well. Touching on visibility, I can see perfectly fine out the back, and typically with a sedan like this, you're not gonna have any issues with visibility anyway, so you're definitely good there. Not to mention, rain sensing windshield wipers actually come standard on the 330i as well, meaning whenever this car detects any kind of mist or rainfall, it's going to automatically turn on those windshield wipers for you. So it's just one less thing you got to worry about, kind of like automatic headlights, I guess. But also, head-up display is going to be available. It's with a couple different package options, including the premium package and executive package that is going to project your speed limit, and safety information up on your windshield. I am actually currently looking at that right now, so that is pretty darn cool. It helps you better keep your eyes on the road so you can more enjoy the drive in the 330i. So definitely a safety feature in itself, and of course assist with visibility as well. But that about rounds up the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of this brand new, completely blacked out 2021 BMW 330i. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2021 BMW 330i, finished in black sapphire metallic. Looks so good, especially with this M Sport package, and of course I'll get into that for you guys as well. But let's go ahead and start first up front on the 330i. LED headlights with the cornering function does come standard, meaning when you're going around a bend at night, those headlights will swivel based on the direction of your steering angle, better help illuminating what is around that bend. And of course the headlights do come with the automatic feature as well, meaning when it starts to get dark out at night, they will turn on automatically for you there. LED daytime running lights also coming standard. You guys can actually see those are on right now. They look pretty good. Automatic high beams as well coming standard, meaning when you got your high beams on at night, if the car senses another vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically turn off those high beams for you and then return them back on once that vehicle has left. So it's yet again another thing you don't have to worry about. It's pretty darn cool. BMW laser light technology, it's something I wanted to mention that is available. It is an option for the 330i, and that essentially is the very brightest lighting allowed by law if you definitely want to have the very best visibility at night. In the center of it all, active kidney front grille, meaning those grille shutters will open and close dependent upon the engine cooling that is needed at any given time. Nice technology there. Front air curtains down in the lower corners there. Satin aluminum trim surrounding that front grille, and of course that can change dependent upon some of the packages that you go with. And let me now touch on that M Sport package, because that is actually going to give you a revised front fascia. And by the way, that package goes for $3,800, but in addition to that, you're going to get some additional gloss black exterior trim, that M Sport steering wheel, of course, I was mentioning to you guys, and 19-inch M specific double 5-spoke alloy wheels as well. So quite a bit of aesthetic appearance upgrades with that M Sport package. So definitely looks very good with this black exterior we have today, I will say that. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the side of the 330i. And so, but now since we are around the side of this one, satin aluminum window surrounds coming standard, gloss black window surrounds coming with the M Sport, that of course is what we have today. Power adjustable body colored side mirrors do come standard, and they actually do also come with LED integrated turn signals. They will also be heated as well for super cold days in Pennsylvania, quite like today. And looking down at the wheel configuration, 18-inch double 5-spoke alloys is the standard setup, and they will be wrapped in all-season tires. And of course, there are plenty of different wheel designs available, one of them being these M Sport wheels you guys are currently looking at right now, finished in black, which looks absolutely amazing with this black sapphire metallic exterior that we have here today. But anyways, let's now go ahead and make our way to the back of this one. And so since we are around back, shark fin antenna coming standard up top there, just below that, LED adaptive brake lights also coming standard. X-Drive badging, of course, found on the upper left-hand corner back there as well, if your car is equipped with all-wheel drive at least. And once again, with that M Sport package, that is going to alter the rear bumper design as well, as opposed to if you did not have it. And just below it all, dual exhaust outlets with chrome tips. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust clip. And so, but now since we are around back of the 330i, when it comes to opening that rear trunk, there is a button on the key fob. That is one way to go ahead and open it. There is also a button on the trunk itself, of course, as expected. And there is a button on the driver's side door as well. And it gets better than that. Power operated trunk is going to be optional, as well as a hands-free trunk. Again, yet another option that is going to be available for the 330i. But nonetheless, once opened up, cargo capacity comes in an even 13 cubic feet. If that was not enough space, there is a 40-20-40 split, meaning the rear seats do fold down quite flat at that, meaning there is going to be a good bit of extra space then if you needed it. Then make our way to the rear legroom. That comes in at 35.2 inches. So for reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in those rear seats. I want to also mention rear ventilation is going to come standard, but not only that, 3-zone climate control actually comes standard as well, meaning the rear passengers can set their own temperature, as well as the driver and the passenger. So therefore everyone stays comfortable at any given time. That is pretty darn cool as well. Rear center armrest with cup holders, of course, also coming standard. Did want to also mention there are heated rear seats that are going to be optional. They are available for the 330i if you wanted to spoil the rear passengers a little bit back there. And in addition to that, there are actually 2 phone charging ports for those rear passengers in the back as well. But then making our way to the front seats, Sensatech upholstery is going to be the standard finish on the seating. However, there is full leather seating that is going to be optional. We do of course have it today, but that is an option for the 330i. 10-way power adjustable front seats will come standard for both driver and passenger. You don't always see it on the passenger side, so I wanted to emphasize that. 2-way power side bolsters, which is a brilliant thing here in the 330i. It's something BMW always does, and I love it because it kind of hugs you in place, especially if you're one that likes taking turns a little faster on the back roads. Those side bolster adjustments are going to be where it's at for you. Anyways, manual thigh support, also standard. Memory settings do also come standard. They can be found on the driver's side door for up to 2 different drivers. Lumbar support is actually going to be optional. We do actually have it though today. Heated and ventilated seating also going to be optional on the 330i. One of those things, I think at least heated seats should come standard on this one, but anyways, it's optional nonetheless. But overall, because of all of those adjustments on the 330, the seats are more than comfortable. It's really quite impossible to not find your perfect driving position with the 330i, just because there are so many different ways you can adjust these front seats. So wanted to mention that. But now let's take a look at this steering wheel, because it's one of the best parts of this one. Tilt and telescoping as expected. It is manually tilt and telescoping. That is the standard setup, but you can get it power adjustable if you wanted that. Leather wrap steering wheel does come standard. The 10-2 grips are beautiful, and you can get a heated steering wheel. That is optional. That button is going to be located just above the M logo, I guess in our case, because we have the M Sport package, so that's going to be there for you as well. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me first start by showing you guys the key here. Essentially all of your buttons are located on one side of the key. You do have your M colors on the side of it if you go with that M Sport package, at least. That looks pretty cool. But lock, unlock, the button to pop the rear hatch. The lock button is the BMW logo front and center. But essentially it is all keyless entry with a push button start. So all I'm going to do is simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button, which is actually located just to the left of the shifter. And so, but then once started up, the gauges are going to differ slightly. For instance, there is the standard analog gauge cluster, which comes standard. I don't know how else to say it, but then there is the optional 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, which is what you guys are looking at right now, and it looks absolutely wonderful. It not only adjusts colors based on your driving mode, which is pretty darn cool. If you want a blue hue, go with Eco Pro. There's orange for comfort, and then there's red for sport, so I found that pretty cool. But of course, you also have your navigation information front and center. That is pretty cool as well. It gives you your outside temperature, the speed limit of any given road, also how many miles you have left until you hit empty. Really pretty much everything you could possibly want up on that digital gauge cluster, so I definitely like it. But making our way now to overall interior quality. First thing I want to mention with this one is there are several different interior and trim options available where you can really customize the 330 and make it your own, which you don't always see in other manufacturers, so I wanted to emphasize that. Of course, you got black leather, which is what we have today, but you also have black leather with blue stitching if you go with that M Sport package, and you do have some of the M Sport colors within the seating as well. I thought that was pretty cool. There's also a light leather, there's a saddle brown leather, there's wood trim, there's aluminum trim. The options really go on and on. You guys can play around on BMW's website if you wanted to, but plenty of options there. Anthracite headliner does come standard. Universal garage door openers can be found on the bottom portion of that rear view mirror for up to 3 different garage doors, also standard. Power moonroof, also standard. Auto dimming rear view mirror and driver's side mirror. You don't always see that. Also standard on this one. Like I said, 3-zone climate control. Some of the options, especially this first one, I would recommend ambient lighting. It's part of some of the package deals, but is also available on its own for $250. That is pretty darn cool. You can adjust the colors. That is something I would definitely go with on this one. Wireless phone charger in front of the cup holders. That's another option for $500. It also comes with some of the package options. Overall, the interior quality is pretty much finished as you would expect a BMW to be finished. So very high-end materials. You have a 12-volt power outlet, USB charging ports right in the center of the cup holders. Just around the circular dial and buttons and the shifter and all that, you have a nice texturized finish. A lot of times manufacturers will leave that as a matte gray plastic, which is super boring and low end, but I love the look of this finish around the shifter here. Also within the center armrest, you will have another phone charging port. There's actually a little light in there as well, and a decent amount of storage within that as well. But overall, it really comes down to the fit and finish, which is something BMW always gets right. Perhaps the only other thing I would have kind of liked to have seen in this one is the anthracite headliner swapped out for a suede headliner. I think that would be pretty cool. But other than that, you got blue stitching on the doors. Everything is finished very, very nicely. So I'll give BMW that for sure. But anyways, let's now go ahead and make our way to the tech display. 8.8-inch colored touchscreen display does come standard. And by the way, it's not just a touchscreen display. You can control it using that, but there's also a circular dial and buttons. There's also voice control, and gesture control is going to be optional, and that's essentially where you can use your hand in like a clockwise like motion to turn up the radio or a counterclockwise to turn it down. There's a bunch of different gestures that you can do, which is really kind of crazy technology, and I've played around with it in other BMWs. I think that's pretty fun. Bluetooth and audio streaming does come standard. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay coming standard as well. That's something BMW didn't always do, so I wanted to emphasize that. Factory navigation system also coming standard. You can adjust your ambient lighting settings up there as well. There's also some vehicle statistics you can check out, and of course, your radio settings. And so when it comes to the sound systems, there's 2 different sound systems. There is the 10-speaker hi-fi sound system that comes standard with 205 watts. Then there is the optional 16 speaker Harman Kardon sound system that actually only goes for $875. Sometimes with optional sound systems they're a bit more than that, so that's why I say only, but that's not too bad. 464 watts, 2 bass speakers under the front seats. Having said that, we don't have that one today. We do have the 10 speaker sound system, so what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. It's not bad. It's pretty much as expected for a 10 speaker sound system. Me personally, I would probably opt for the Harman Kardon sound system with this particular setup with the 330i, just because that sound system didn't really blow me away, especially for 10 speakers. I would expect a little bit more bass, but it's not bad. It's as expected, I guess you could say. But last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on that tech display is when you do put the 330i in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard on this one. 360-degree monitor is going to be optional. That, of course, is going to assist you with visibility, letting you know who or what is behind you, which is always is going to lead us into safety. And so to start, the 2021 BMW 330i is an IIHS top safety pick, so that is a heck of a start already. Front side curtain airbags do come standard, driver and passenger knee airbags as well. In the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system. That's all pretty boring safety stuff at this point. But in addition to that, also standard on the 330i, frontal collision warning and automatic city collision mitigation and braking. So, having said that, there are a couple different package options that can add some safety features to the 330i. One of them is a driver assistance package that goes for $700. That includes an active driving assistant, blind spot monitoring system, lane departure warning, and front and rear parking sensors as well. Then there is the parking assistance package that again goes for $700. Now once again, we'll give you front and rear parking sensors, a 360-degree monitor, and parking assistant, which essentially is where the car parks itself for you. So that is pretty cool. You just gotta set the parking spot and it's gonna do all the work for you. So that's kind of crazy, but all in all, when it comes to my final thoughts of the 330i, really what separates this vehicle from the other competitors in its class, this thing is a blast to drive. The handling is absolutely wonderful. The acceleration is great for what it is. Of course, there's more powerful engines for the 3 Series, but I'm just doing the 330i video here today. But anyways, heck of an acceleration, instant paddle shifters, great 10-2 grips as well. And like I said, this car has been around since 1975, so at this point BMW has really perfected it. So definitely a solid pick here. The only constructive criticism I can possibly think of for this thing is it is a bit pricier than some of the other competitors in the segment. And not only that, maybe some of the safety features that I rambled off as a package option should come standard. Like at minimum, a blind spot monitoring system. I think that's pretty standard at this point on other manufacturers. But anyways, very, very solid pick. This car's been around for forever, so you really can't go wrong with the 3 Series. But that about rounds out this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching.